Well, hi everybody. It's Joe Cioffi, Fios One News, Long Island, and Fios One News, New Jersey. I almost put myself in the Lower Hudson Valley. I want this day to end.
I'm Joe Rayo, and I'm the guy who's doing Lower Hudson Valley tonight. Although, depending upon the scenario, he could do Lower Hudson Valley, I could do Long Island and New Jersey. And
I got your day off request. Okay. So, it is Friday. Oh my, Phil Buzz and Howie Dwyer, my two fishing buddies, for the first two on tonight, back to back. Howie, Phil just beat you by a hair. All right, we've got a lot of stuff going on tonight. Actually, in all seriousness, I want to touch on the fact we really didn't spend any time on it last night because of the weather that was going on. And we had Bill Goodman on last night from the Weather Service, who was great. We hopefully will have him back again soon. But the severe weather outbreak yesterday in Iowa, producing 28 tornadoes, and the severe thunderstorms that tragically sank that boat in Branson, Missouri.
That's crazy.
My understanding is that there was a severe thunderstorm warning that went out at around 6:30 in that general area. The boat sinking, it was after, I believe it was after 7 o'clock. But it really just goes to the heart of when these watches and warnings are put up. It's serious stuff. And when they don't happen, or if they don't happen, that is, some folks use that as a way of criticizing the weather folks and the messengers. It's a good thing. We're talking about things that put people's lives in danger, and when those things don't, when the threat is there and it doesn't materialize, that is a good thing.
Right.
Okay, so let's. I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, people say, they start saying, "Oh, you cried wolf again," but you have to always be prepared with these things.
And your house is still intact, and you don't have to go claim anything on your insurance, and you're not making, God forbid, you wound up someone getting hurt, that you have to deal with that. So, that's why I get really upset with in situations where I hear stuff like that you didn't get the tragedy you were hoping for. That just doesn't play well with me.
That goes back to, I remember Hurricane Gloria in 1985,
right.
and Neil Frank, who was then the head of the National Hurricane Center, first time anyone from the Hurricane Center had ever done this, he literally sat in a chair for 24 straight hours talking to one television station after another up and down the eastern seaboard, warning them of the threat. And what happened was the storm system at the last minute kind of diminished in strength, maybe passed over a localized area of cooler water.
And that was a good thing.
And what happened in the aftermath was amazing. People, it was almost like a jilted lover.
I know.
People were actually, it almost sounded like they actually were hoping.
I know, and that's
for death and destruction.
Yeah, and I don't have, what?
And they came down hard on Neil Frank for that.
And as the years go, well, they attempted to go hard this morning well, we didn't. The forecast, it wasn't forecasted. It was, and apparently, as the evidence was starting to pop out on Twitter by a lot of weather folks, it was indeed forecasted. I go back to, by the way, and let's just on that theme, and then I'm going to go back to this point. But this is the severe weather risk tonight, and you've got a huge area of the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley, and into northern Mississippi and Alabama, and almost into the whole state of Tennessee under a tornado watch. That's got to be one of the biggest tornado watches that we've seen all season long, and the whole area of slight risk to moderate risk there. That's geographically we're seeing, I think, the largest of the whole season. This has potential to be a serious outbreak tonight here.
I'm very happy that it's happening. I'm not happy that it's happening. I'm having trouble with my voice tonight too. I have my son and his fiance and his fiance's parents are in Wisconsin right now, and they are going to be traveling by car from Wisconsin back to New York tomorrow. It's going to be a 14-hour trip, and I'm happy that they're doing it tomorrow and not tonight, because if they did do it today, they most likely would have to travel or drive through all of that, and I'm very, very glad that they're not doing that. But it's still a very serious situation for anyone who lives down in let's say, southern Ohio, West Virginia, eastern sections of Virginia, that is a very large swath of strong to severe weather.
All of this on the radar. This is the radar, by the way, as of we're now coming up on 9 o'clock Eastern time. If you're watching this on a replay later on tonight, please, this is a 9 o'clock Eastern time radar view. So if you want to see the latest radar views or check to see what the latest watches and warnings are, you need to go to weather.gov. You want to make sure you have the most updated information. Actually, Joe, if you look at this area here that's blossoming in the Ohio Valley, there is a really narrow line of what looks like some pretty intense storms here, right on the Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia border, and another line that follows there that has just moved into northern Kentucky. We can actually go to that local radar, so I'm going to do that.
Very snaky.
Yeah. But here it is on a tight view. This first lead line that is moving southeastward into the Virginia Panhandle, and I'm going to go. Let's see what happens if I go northwest. Now here's a look in through southern Indiana and into northern Kentucky. You've got some very, very strong cells there. So obviously SPC sees something in all of this with respect to what's going on tonight. That they're very concerned with the tornado, the large tornado watch area that they have up at the moment.
And isn't it funny, Joe? Just earlier in the week, what were we talking about? The fact that we had seen a much lower complement of tornadic activity. And
somebody, and right before Beryl and Chris, I remember talking about the fact that it's quiet and it's probably going to stay quiet in the Atlantic for another couple of weeks, and then lo and behold, that happens. Look at this upper low. I mean, this is really, considering we're at middle of July, that is actually, that's impressive.
This is a pattern that you would see more often in March or maybe October, November. You simply don't see this usually in the month of July. This is not a pattern that you see very. I think that I mentioned this yesterday. I think once or twice in May. That's about as late in the season.
Yeah, this is unusual.
Like that, but this is July,
and it's the size and the scope of it that really impresses me. And the system that we're dealing with tomorrow off the southeast is it's a very broad surface low here. This is not going to become tropical, mainly because it's basically married to that upper low that coming down, so it's behaving as a non-tropical system would behave. I think the outcome, and we discussed this yesterday, the outcome for us probably wouldn't be that much different either way, whether it's tropical, subtropical, or non-tropical. But that upper low has just got it's just driving everything in the eastern part of the United States.
It is, and it's tomorrow. The worst of this for us tomorrow looks like right now, Joe, to be tomorrow night. And I think if we
let me pull up the NAM3 so we can take it up tomorrow night, and we can and you go ahead. What you were saying.
I said that from earlier when we first came in. I thought this from my subjective point of view that the heaviest amount of precipitation, the worst part of this, was going to come probably in the 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. time frame tomorrow night. And when I talk about the worst part, I'm talking about the heaviest amount of rain, the gustiest of the winds, and the winds in some cases. Jersey Shore, Long Island Shore, maybe Sound Shore of Westchester could even top 40 miles per hour.
Convectively driven with the bands that are coming around. Yeah, I mean maybe in between it wouldn't be too. The wind's probably not going to be that extraordinary, but in some of these bands you're going to probably get these gusts to kick up. Here is the NAM for. I'm using the NAM3 if only because of the fact that of all the models. It handled the thunderstorm event last Monday. Mm-hmm. This is a whole different animal with what we're dealing with, what's going on. But the look to me kind of makes the most sense. So this is at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So this kind of lines up with what you said for the Hudson Valley, where the rain will probably hold off until tomorrow evening.
Right.
And actually for Long Island and northernmost New Jersey, probably the same. Southern New Jersey will probably get into the rain by lunchtime, and then it gradually moves northward. The heaviest rains, I think, are going to be north and west of the center.
Right.
But the part to the east, Joe, is the tricky part, because these bands that extend out into the ocean, this is where you could fire up something into a severe thunderstorm. The Storm Prediction Center has coastal New Jersey, Long Island, New York City, and southern Connecticut at a marginal risk for severe weather.
Right.
I think what you say all the time, that really it's going to work out this time too. I bet you tomorrow morning it'll probably be expanded.
Yeah, and this is not a knock. I don't want anybody to say, oh, Joe Rayo knocks the Weather Service or NOAA or whatever like that. This is not a knock. I'm just saying what has been happening this particular summer season, that the folks over at the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, have been playing catch-up all summer long. They put out one thing, and then the next day, whatever they put out, they've enhanced or they've accentuated to a greater degree in terms of possible severe weather. So as you just mentioned, Joe, the fact that we're seeing marginal, in parts of our area, it would not be at all surprising if tomorrow that they decided just to expand the whole area, and that could very well be. We've seen that.
Now the bulk of this, Joe, if the NAM 3 is correct, all right. So this is at so now we're at midnight tomorrow night, and virtually over with central southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, and then by 6 in the morning. Now this is 7 in the morning. The bulk of the heavy stuff is done, but this is what we're setting up now for Sunday and for probably much of next week. You're going to have these bands. You have this southerly flow along the East Coast, aloft, and you're just going to get these bands of showers that are going to, and downpours and thunderstorms that are going to form from time to time, and from time to time they're going to come through. And here's an instance, this is Sunday afternoon and evening. You've got ocean stuff coming into New York City, Long Island, Connecticut, and eastern areas of the Hudson Valley. And if the model's right, you've got all kinds of downpours going on Sunday night into Monday morning. It's going to be hard to time this going forward.
No, you can't.
You can't. The best way to look at it, I think, is just that accept the fact that going forward through all of this week, you're probably going to have the risk for downpours and thunderstorms every day. Some days you'll get it. Some days I'll get it. Yeah. Some days both of us will get it.
Right.
And
some days neither one
of us will get it. So that's really how it's going to be. It makes it tough to plan things, and I understand that. But this is the pattern.
I've always used my baseball analogy, and the baseball analogy, because people come up to me and say, "Well, how come you can't tell me when we're going to get a thunderstorm tomorrow? What time? What play?" And I tell them, "Look, you go to Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. Oh, sure." He said, are they going to be foul balls hit into the stands during the game? Oh, of course they will be. They always are. I said, good. Tell me every single foul ball, what section each foul ball is going to
land. And how come they haven't hit one to me?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It works just like that. I mean, there's just no way. You know, of course, if you go to Yankee Stadium or Citi Field, that the situation is ripe for foul balls to be hit into various parts of the stands. Just like in the coming days ahead here, you just know, because of the increase in humidity, that the air is going to be ripe for producing showers and scattered thunderstorms, pop-ups every which way.
Right.
But you're just never going to be able to tell exactly when.
Here's that upper low dropping southward. So if you folks are watching, the area, if you kind of draw a line, say from eastern Kentucky to the North Carolina coast, as that upper low drops down, this arm just kind of lifts up and moves up through upstate New York. So that's the system that comes through Saturday night. Then the upper low just keeps dropping southward toward the southeastern U.S. So you still have, and we're into Tuesday now and Wednesday, you still have basically this southerly flow along the East Coast. And you got another trough that's going to try and drop in at the end of next week.
Right.
So the only thing I guess we should be thankful for at this point is that we don't have any kind of tropical system heading for the Bahamas or for the southeast coast or off the southeast coast, because with that kind of upper air, there would be a risk of it coming up the East Coast.
Exactly.
We thankfully do not have that at the moment.
At the today is the day, Friday. Every Friday, the Climate Prediction Center issues their 3 to 4 week experimental prognosis for probabilities of temperature and precipitation. And you may be interested to know, Joe, that they are predicting now, through the first half of August, higher than normal precipitation and higher than normal temperatures, which seems to suggest, I looked at some of the ensemble, long-range ensembles, what seems to be setting up is sort of a subtropical high that's going to remain a semi-permanent feature in the coming days and weeks, off the eastern seaboard, that southerly flow that you just mentioned, and with that flow coming, into our area, periodically being broken maybe by a front coming down from the north, that would set the stage for some showery and possibly thundery weather.
Timothy Veltman's got a 35th birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Timothy. Timothy, one of our regular viewers who watches us from upstate New York. Bill McGowan, these questions drive me crazy. A car show at 5 p.m. Bill, you got to tell me where you are, okay? You didn't give your location, so if you could do that, we might venture a guess here. But can't do it without knowing exactly where you are, because if you're in central New Jersey, you might be raining by 1 or 2 o'clock. If you're up near north of Route 84, you might not be raining till after 7 o'clock, so that makes a difference.
Just saw Dennis Cassia, a friend of mine, and says good evening, and let me throw in a plug for the German-American Club, Putnam Valley, 11 Kramer's Pond Road tomorrow, beginning at 3 o'clock, running until 10 o'clock tomorrow night, under a big tent, so you don't have to worry about getting wet, and also noon to 8 p.m. on Sunday, their annual summer German Fest. If you like German food, if you like German music, and I was really not into German food before I got married, Joe. I've been married over 30 years now, but I got to tell you, they really serve a lot of great stuff there, and if you're interested, come on out. They'll be there tomorrow and on Sunday, and you might even run into some weather forecaster that you know.
You just never know. Denise Algerio, timing of rain for Long Island on Saturday. Assuming that, we don't get, sometimes in situations like this with the southeast flow and you get these clouds that come in off the ocean and you wind up with something that comes in off the water that's in the bottom 1,500 feet or 2,000 feet of the atmosphere that the radar doesn't see. In terms of what's coming up from the south, I'd probably say that the rain, 5 or 6 o'clock, maybe 5 or 6 o'clock for arrival. That's kind of the best I can guess at as far as timing. Kelly Newell Bennett camping at Smith Point starting Monday for the week. The whole week is not a washout.
No.
Please, we kind of emphasize that it does not rain every waking minute. There will be risk for downpours, and as we said earlier, some days you might get one. Other days Joe will get one and I won't. Other days I'll get one, Joe won't. And other days both of us will miss, but someone else will. And it can happen at any time during the day or night, but there are going to be long stretches where it doesn't rain. So you know what? That's a decision that's up to you. So I can't really help you with that other than to describe what the weather I think is going to be like for much of the week. And that is if it's not doing that, it's going to be very warm and very humid.
It may be rough, though. She's camping, and of course, I just mentioned earlier, the humidity is going to be rather high. So it's not so much the heat, but the humidity, and it especially in the nighttime hours, may be a little tough to to sleep in that kind of situation, if indeed you are camping.
Paul Gaduzzi says, why do people complain so much that the weather is not perfect from a forecast? Meteorologists only predict the weather based on the data. You are both right. There is so much you can predict at 100% pinpoint accuracy. I'm going to answer that real quick because I had this conversation with Brittany Borer, who was on in the afternoons here at FiOS 1 News, and she made a great point. What if weather people just went on strike and you didn't have any weather information at all?
Right.
I mean, I kind of thought about it for a second and said, okay, well, no weather information at all, no access to anything, radars and satellites or anything else. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think that really is what it boils down to. If you're someone that complains about this sort of stuff all the time, then you need to decide whether you should just completely shut yourself off from any kind of weather information whatsoever and do it on your own. Look at the caterpillars on the trees. Watch the squirrels gathering the nuts, because you know what, Joe, and we're going to have to go, but I'll just reminded me. Very soon we're going to get the annual. The squirrels are gathering all the acorns, and I've never seen them gather the acorns like this.
Yeah.
And the oak trees are producing all these acorns, and I've never seen so many acorns. It must mean A, B, C, D, or E.
Right.
Or even something else. Another variable that we're not taking into consideration. We're just preparing ourselves.
Another month or so.
Yes.
fact, the Farmer's Almanac, both of them come out, I think, late August, early September, and we're only about a month away from that. So already the winter season is knocking at our door.
It's not even here, and I'm kind of wishing it will go away because I know what's coming.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
and Dennis Cassia, I saw your comment about the parking. Private joke between he and I about the parking the cars at the German Fest.
Understood. All right, so let's leave it at that. Joe and I have our stuff to do at the top of the hour. FiOS 1 News Long Island and New Jersey for me.
And FiOS 1 Lower Hudson Valley for yours truly. And of course now it's a Friday, so tomorrow, if you tune in on FiOS, you will not be seeing our usual gang. You will be having... I
think Jeff Banson's on in the morning.
Jeff Banson tomorrow because Andrew Pinheiro is away.
Andrew's flying around the world somewhere. Yeah, Jeff Banson's on in the morning and Jonathan Cubitt on in the evening.
Right.
Lauren Richardson is on Sunday morning,
right, and
Jonathan Cubitt is on in the evening. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for Jeff to prep you on tomorrow night, Jonathan to take you through tomorrow night, and Lauren on Sunday morning to wrap that part of it up and set you up for what may happen later in the day on Sunday, and then Jonathan will carry it from there. Joe and I will be back on Monday.
Yes.
And the regular crew will also be on. Brian Fitzgerald, Jeff in the morning on Monday, and Brittany Green and Brittany Bora. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to dominate the goodbyes. But Ivan's already been at the door. He's screaming for me. We'll see you this later. Have a great weekend, and I'll be on over the weekend to keep you updated on all the weather. And Joe will have his stuff too on his Facebook page, Joe Rayo Weather.
Bye.